Smart men go broke three ways: liquor, ladies, and leverage. Charlie Munger said that, by the way. He spent 60 years warning people about the 3 L's. Too bad he died before he met the 4th one. At the end of July, a 24-year-old named Leopold Aschenbrenner got margin called on $45 billion. 2 days later, he got married. That's 2 out of the 3 L's in the same week. When I heard a hedge fund lost $35 billion in 1 week, my first thought was, wait, is Bill Hwang out of prison already? But no, this is a brand new guy. So I did what any well-adjusted person would do. I went looking through his financial filings to find his positions. And I found them in his 13F. This is the only man in history to upload loss porn directly to the Securities and Exchange Commission's website. So who the hell is this guy? Leopold was a former German child. He went to Columbia University at the age of 15 years old, an age where the rest of us were discovering Axe body spray and going through our emo phase. He graduated valedictorian at the age of 19, 2 years too young to even legally drink at his own graduation party. So the liquor part of the downfall was never in play here, and neither were the ladies, to be honest. This was always destined to be a leverage story. His first job out of college was giving away Sam Bankman-Fried's money at FTX, which we now know was doing philanthropy with customer deposits. That job ended when FTX stopped existing. Then OpenAI hired him onto Super Alignment, the team making sure ChatGPT doesn't go full Terminator and kill everyone. And they fired him a year later for writing a memo saying that their security sucked. A month after that, the entire Super Alignment team got dissolved anyway. If you're keeping count, that's 2 for 2. Everywhere this man works stops existing shortly after he arrives. This is called foreshadowing. So now he's 22, unemployed, and holding a grudge, which is the origin story of half of the degenerates on Wall Street bets. Except instead of opening a Robinhood account in YOLO and his severance money on 0 DTEs, he actually sat down and wrote a manifesto about the future of AI, and he called it Situational Awareness. An angry German young man writing a manifesto. What could go wrong? And the manifesto is basically the longest DD post ever written. AGI by 2027, trillion-dollar compute clusters, YOLO everything into the hardware before everyone else catches on. The only thing missing was rocket emojis. But this is no ordinary degenerate, because this guy manages to get the smartest money alive to invest. The Stripe brothers, Nat Friedman, Daniel Gross, and even Jane Street, the firm that hires Math Olympiad champions. They all looked at a 22-year-old whose entire CV was working at FTX and getting fired from OpenAI and wired him $1 billion to YOLO. I also have strong opinions and no track record. Nobody ever wired me anything. Maybe I should stop making silly YouTube videos and start writing manifestos. He names the fund Situational Awareness after the manifesto. And the strategy is just the thesis he explained in the manifesto, leverage to the tits. He goes all in into one bet. AGI is coming, so the world needs chips, memory, data centers, and the power to run everything. But he does not buy Nvidia like a basic normie. Everyone on Earth already knows Nvidia is a major player in the AI boom, so it's already priced in. He instead full ports the supply chain underneath all of it. SanDisk, Micron, and SK Hynix because the chips need memory. He buys Bloom Energy because the data centers need power. CoreWeave because somebody has to rent out the GPUs. Iron and Core Scientific for data centers, and so on. And then, because getting rich slowly is for the version fund DCA investor, he levers his entire fund 4-to-1. Bill Hwang would be proud. So how does a 4-to-1 leverage actually work? You put up $1,000 of your own money and the broker lends you $3,000. Now you're holding $4,000 of stock. If it goes up 25%, that becomes $5,000. You return the broker's $3,000 and keep $2,000. You just doubled your money on a 25% move. Amazing, right? But 4-to-1 leverage is a double-edged sword, because the same math also works in reverse. If the stock drops 25%, your $4,000 becomes $3,000. And all of that is the broker's money. Your $1,000 is gone. So a 25% drop turns into a 100% loss. So of course, his leverage fund went up more than 400% in the first half of 2026, and over 1,000% since launch. $45 billion at its peak, at 24 years old. Now I really feel depressed about my life. Now, the thing is called a hedge fund. And remember, I went through this man's positions. I looked for the hedge. I'm still looking. What's in there instead is one trade. If you watched the previous video about the AI bubble, you know exactly what trade I'm talking about. The SaaSpocalypse trade. You long semis and short SaaS. You buy the chips, the memory, the data centers, and you short the software stocks. The Adobes of the world. Because once AI writes all the code and draws the logos, who's still paying for a Photoshop subscription, right? Hardware wins, software dies, and you print money. It literally can go tits up. Even more foreshadowing. And on paper, that looks hedged. Half the book is long and the other half is short. Except both halves are the exact same opinion, and that opinion was jacked to the tits in leverage. The only thing that could hurt him was if the trade started reversing. But the market gods would never do that to him, right? Yet we all know how the gods feel about dudes who fly too close to the sun. Just ask Icarus. So the last week of July, the trade reversed. Semis dumped and SaaS went up. He got totally wrecked on the trade. Because remember, at 4-to-1 leverage, a simple drop of 25% translates into a loss of 100%. And just like everything else he touched, the fund blows up. It drops 67%, and he immediately gets the call every degenerate dreads. His ass got margin called by his prime brokers, and they started yelling at him to post collateral. So he tries raising more capital. He even tries offering up his private Anthropic stake, but none of it worked. July 30th, at 6:30 in the morning, before the market opens, all of his public holdings, $16 billion, longs and shorts, go out the door in a single block trade. And of course, Ken Griffin's Citadel takes all of it, at a 10% discount. I guess every over-leveraged portfolio on Wall Street ends up at Citadel eventually. I imagine there is a phone in that building that only rings when a hedge fund is exploding. They'd never once let it go to voicemail. And of course, like every degenerate story from Wall Street bets, the moment you sell, willingly or otherwise, the market immediately starts going up. Every degenerate watching knows this feeling. It just usually happens with $500 saved from Wendy's paycheck instead of $16 billion. That same afternoon, Nebius is up 27%. Iron up 26%. Bloom Energy up 25%. Everything this poor guy was forced to sell in the morning ripped in the afternoon. And Ken Griffin writes another name in his notebook. Somewhere in a federal prison, Bill Hwang read the news and smiled. It took him 25 years on Wall Street to set the record. And this kid broke it in two. $35 billion, gone in a week, at a fund literally named Situational Awareness. The joke writes itself. I took the liberty of creating a Reddit account for you, Leopold. And here's your Wendy's tag. Welcome aboard, fellow degenerate. But to be fair, even after losing billions, his fund is still up 80% on the year. The private holdings, including that Anthropic stake, are the $10 billion left standing. This man just posted the largest loss porn in recorded human history, and he's still having a better year than you and me. Especially me. So, liquor, ladies, and leverage. This quote is now outdated, because FTX blew up, the super alignment team at OpenAI got dissolved, and $35 billion evaporated from the quote-unquote hedge fund. 3 collapses in 4 years. And the only thing they have in common is this guy. And you can't blame liquor, ladies, or leverage. The leverage only explains one of the 3, and there was no liquor and no ladies. The only variable present in every crime scene is the man himself. So there's a 4th L now. It's Leopold. And his lady married him anyway, 2 days after he got margin called. That's true love right there. Either that or she hadn't checked the news yet. As for me, there's no liquor in the house, no wedding on the calendar, no broker willing to give me margin, and Leopold doesn't even know I exist. So I'm perfectly safe from the 4 L's. Besides, the quote only applies to men with brains and lots of money, and there's an entire YouTube channel full of evidence that I have neither.
And they keep calling this brown hole.